need to start the recording before that. Last time, Anon remembered that he's the protagonist of the story and he should do something. Should he do something? He should do something. But should he do something? He should do something. The truth, Miss Katsuragi, is that Anon has not done enough. I legitimately feel like the lack of a POV swap has significantly harmed this plot point because Anon and Nasser, I don't see it. Like, there's no chemistry between them, so outside of him caring for his sister, there really isn't a lot going on, and it's... Like, Nasser's there because Olivia's crushing on him, which is, like, the most awkward way to compose your friend group. Why is she here? Why is this man here? Oh, because he's fucking making out with my sister. That's the only reason I got. Sorry to tell you, buddy. It's just an awkward reason to put someone in your friend group. That's such nerd fallacy of, like, oh, if they're my friend, they're everyone's my friend's friends. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Let's get down to it. Where were we again? Oh yeah, we found out that Ripley sat on his phone with his big ass. Now, I don't know if it's because he's heavy or because he just has a finely chiseled behind that crushes anything he sits on, even if he sits on the softest of beanbags. But you never know. You just never know. Dang. Anyway. Yeah, Fang wasn't here. That's like the big thing. Lucy hasn't shown up yet. I don't know whatever to be grateful or sad about Fang's absence. Is Lucy even Fang at this moment? Is Fang even non-binary? Because that's like a whole thing. Ripley and Samantha peer at each other before the former's side. Your sister's at home. And she would have loved to be here, but you know how cautious she gets. I do feel like there's a little too much of these intermissions. I said it before, and I'll say it again. You don't need to explain everything about how someone is emoting over their conversation. Give your reader some credit. Let them fill in the details. If all he does is make an excuse, then don't say he tries to make an excuse and then he just makes an excuse. This is summary language. This is language you use when you don't write it out. Unless there's something you're trying to, you know, like, seem to try an excuse. I guess that's the point. I guess that's the point, now that I think about it. Because we all know that Fang doesn't... Fang is avoiding Nasser, is how it goes in the original one. She doesn't hate him. It's more that Lucy feels like being around Nasser is a bad thing. However, I do feel that if you're one of those... You know, you're one of those writers who has, like, a lot of confidence in their writing, you would probably do a little bit more with the emoting back here, and then you would let this stand on their own, so that when the reader later finds out the truth, they can kind of, you know, you can leave that stuff in. That's fun. That's what makes a second read exciting. You're like, oh, but if you put it there in the first place, everyone's like, I already knew that. Like, you already told me. There's nothing to discover. I'm not saying you have to. In fact, that's how you, generally speaking, write books for certain types of audiences, is you avoid that kind of second reader analysis. But there's fun in doing that. I don't recommend it for fanfictions ever, because very few fanfictions get read more than once. They are usually read as a process a la Homestuck. No one fucking rereads Homestuck. No one is rereading your fanfic. Trust me on this. Online writing is like read once and once only, especially if it's you know what I'm hinting at. Wait, nudge, nudge. Nasa paused before nodding. See, this time it's actually fine for him to pause, because he would legitimately be like, oh, my dad's telling a lie again. This is a moment where him having a pause makes sense, because there's a back and forth that Anon is not privy to that these two characters would understand. So Anon would notice the unusual behavior in this conversation. The problem is they're pausing so often that this doesn't stand out anymore. This is not a meaningful emotion that communicates that Nasser knows, that his dad knows that he knows. This is just another pause. That's why you want to be careful with stuff like that. It takes away the power that suddenly pointing something out can have. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, it's fine. He responded, unburdened with his answer. Oh, so he's just a fucking idiot. So why did he pause then? Because he's upset? Then why not just say he's upset about it? This feels like you had such a good chance to indicate something that Nasser would be privy to because it's his home life, and like give this fun little character depth, like he knows and he's been through this and this is his life. But this implies that he's just fucking clueless, like an idiot. This makes him look so stupid. Nasser... he's not Damien, but... You know what I mean. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn... I turned off streamer mode because I had to correct something. I forgot to turn it back on. There you go. I just feel like this is where incompetence... Like, let's put this out here, right? Someone smarter than me told me that there are, like, levels of how incompetent someone is. There is doesn't know how to put this? The middle level is like is capable of doing something consistently all right. There's just a nice straight line. There are no flaws. In like the worst level is like you don't even know you're implying things or have failed to imply certain things. Like you have just left a perfectly good story point on the side. That's one thing. You've left it on the side and you've almost implied it. You've gotten this close and then you got rid of it. Like you've actively made your work worse. That's the worst level of competence. And then he says, then you stop yourself from making those stupid decisions because you know, actually, that's stupid. I shouldn't do that. And then you start making the better decisions. You start improving on your work. And then you become aware of where you're making those. I just feel that this man had a perfect opportunity to do something nice. To give me some of that sweet, succulent character development and just slurp it up with a straw. I really feel like this should be a moment where Nasser legitimately is like, this is my moment. I won the match. Shouldn't my sister be here when I've won the video games? Like, in his mind, in his childlike mind, this is important to him. So logically, it should be important to Fang to some extent. And Fang should be there. Like, he has a girlfriend and everything. Like, from Nasser's perspective, this should be like a defeating moment if he really cares about Fang the way that he supposedly does in Snoot Game. He should be beat up by this. Or maybe this is what beats him up later. You could go into that. I would love to see that storyline of Nasser at this moment realizes that his sister's just fucked. And that shit is this bad. And this is where that degradation and cynicism comes into play. That also is a fun story to talk about. Underappreciated, the decay of Nasser. You know what I'm going at. I made a bad pun, and I deserve to die for it. But I'm not telling you what it is. Nasser paused before nodding. Yeah, it's fine, he responded, unburdened with his answer. I mean, you could also make it that he's already that cynical that he just doesn't give a shit. That also is an angle you can take. There are several different good angles you could have exited this street with, and I don't think he's going to take any of them. With his answer, as Ripley and Samantha seemed to take notice. Small smiles on this note. Thank God our son is a social moron. Thank God he's autistic and doesn't notice that things aren't as good as they appear. I mean, he's 12, so that's fine, but this is his home life, right? Like, here's the thing, right? Here's what I'm really getting at. Yes, he's 12. He's not that emotionally developed. He's soon going to be a teen, and he's going to care about what other people think. But at the same time, you can integrate that into the arc. Teens are defined by caring about their environments and what their environment thinks about them. So logically, this could be one of those moments. You could work that in. There's so many ways to exit this conversation that doesn't make him look like an idiot. This is his home life. This is what he's consistently exposed to. He should be smarter than this. You know, he was forced to grow up faster in this one specific way. And that's the story. This man is just gracefully avoiding the several different ways this could be a fantastic moment. Not a good scene, but a good moment that could be part of a good scene. Just threading the needle on all the good ideas. And missing all of them. Just bravo. Impressive. Samantha then looked at us, changing the subject. Why are you telling us that? That's what she's doing. Like, again, you don't have to explain what the sentence is doing if the sentence is the thing that it's doing. This is a tautology in terms of writing. Or is it pleonasm? I never know. I always forget. Every single time I forget what a pleonasm is. A tautology is a repetition of the same ideas using synonyms, whereas a pleonasm is okay. This is a tautology, not a pleonasm. You don't see many pleonasms. Those are usually used for grammatical emphasis. Nasser's separated. I love the idea that... like, I know what he's saying. It's just Nasser walks forward and joins his parents, but something about the idea of Nasser separated, my brain is immediately like he splits in half. Nasser can self-clone. He's got that clone jutsu. Turning to us. Yeah, Mom and Dad, this is... Shouldn't he say these are? No, this is... Yeah, he would introduce in sequence. Saffy, how the fuck do you make this mistake? You must be Anon. Ripley approached Warden, grasping the Allosaurus' claw with a firm shake. Nasser told me you had a hell of a grip. Explains why you're second in the boxing club. Nasser's eyes widened, snout opening as Warden blinked. The aforementioned speaking first. Actually... Ah, fuck it. Ready or not, here I come. Okay, I have issues with this. If Anon already is like having a small mental breakdown over seeing Nasser, and he's somewhat upset that he sees the parents, this should be a moment, right? This should be a moment where Anon is like, I have to do something, or it looks weird. Like, this should be a moment for Anon. Like, he doesn't want to talk to them, right? If anything, the last time he saw Ripley and Samantha, they were mourning over their lost children and his girlfriend and a good friend of his. Anon, if he feels anything at all like he did with Nasser, he shouldn't just slide into these DMs like this. Man should have some, like, try to overthink it. Like, do they know? Might they know? Should I be worried about that? Ah, fuck it. Ready or not, here I come. Like, it's impressive how this man avoids every opportunity to make the scene a little bit more interesting and give everyone a little bit more depth. It is impressively flat and shallow. Like, at some point, it becomes its own parody, as they say. It's so inherently incapable of achieving even the most accidental successes that it becomes a parody of itself. That I like, and I hope it's going there, because that's funny. It's funny when something is like this close, just like a hair away. You could make Nasser notice or care, communicate to people around him. Like, maybe Olivia... Listen. Where Olivia should pick up, hey, why is Nasser like this with his parents? Nasser, why were you like that with your parents? What was this about Lucy? Like, if she picks it up, wouldn't that be great? She's older. She's older than him. You probably, I don't fucking know how they're all fit together. But she could be older than him, and thus a little wiser. Also, she's a woman. You can fit that in if you want to be like that. And she would pick up on that. And you could make that a moment for them to bond, to have, you know, bring it into the fan group. Anon already knows what's going on. So, for him, it's another sequence where, like, oh no, I've gotten close to my old life, and now I need to avoid seeming like I know too much. Like, I could avoid Nasser boyfriend status. I could avoid that. But I can't avoid this conversation. Uh-oh. I have to be careful. Careful. Or the dad's gonna figure out I killed his daughter. Jesus, Anon. What is this mess you got yourself into, buddy? That would be me, sir. I stepped forward, unable to meet his gaze for a moment before finally peering up. Seeing the surprise in Ripley's orange's eye. You're a comp. Okay, so not only... He's not just racist, he's dinosaur racist too. I guess Ripley's just an equal opportunity racist. What a generous man that he's just racist against everyone who wants it. You'll get it, don't worry. If there's a stereotype, this man will live up to it. By reminding you. A quiet frown from Samantha seemed to have Ripley put more thought into his words, awkwardly raising his claw to me. Again, claws aren't hands, but we'll skip over that for now. Sorry about the mix-up, kid. I shrug, accepting his handshake. No worries, I get that. I then feel the pressure against my claw, realizing that Ripley was testing my grip. I decide to endorse him. You're not even a... You're barely in puberty, my man. You are not beating this adult chief of police, man. This is a lost cause. Every muscle in my arm suddenly flexed and tightened beneath my jacket as a burst of pressurized air escaped between our twin claw. Makes one of those fucking fart noises you get when you make your hand do that. The very atmosphere around us seemed to grow heavy. Uncomfortable. Please, do not use uncomfy. In that context, it sounds so silly. Uncomfortable even with how everyone else stood. What does that mean? All the while, Ripley raised the subtle eye. His eye went way up there. His frown and eyebrow remained stationary. His eye just pushed into the top of his skull, while I maintained my concentration. After a few moments, we both relinquish. I still have not gotten an answer if relinquished is a good card or not, so I'm sorry about that. Hold on, I gotta bully some people. You're not getting away with this, Chief. Hold on, this is gonna take a hot minute. I have to scroll all the way up in this. I have to scale mount. I must scale the mighty mountain. Did you know that Discord now sends you updates if someone, likes your shit? It's hilarious. I hate it. Fuck them. Jesus, why did you do that? Boink. Let's move on. The bully has successfully been executed. After a few moments, we both relinquish. See, this is the right time to use relinquish. Because it's a more heavy narrative scene, you want to use a bigger, fancier word for it. And relinquish, right word for that context. Like I said, what we're really reading here is a person just throwing a d6, and every time he hits a 6, he gets the good one. That being said, relinquishers often whatever. It's fine, Saffy. It's a good use. It's a good, nice, sassy use because it's such a low context, and then they shift gears entirely. Ripley then burst out into laughter. Consider me impressed, Anon, he said with a smile. I'd be surprised if he said that with a cry, but that's just me. It felt surreal hearing that come from Mr. Ripley's snout. Again, that's a decent usage of snout in this context. Especially if Anon's an asshole, at least. Again, snout isn't a very polite term to use. Thank you, sir, I simply respond. Wouldn't want to say it too complexly. He's too old for that. The grizzled pterodactyl looking... He's like half a decade younger, though. I imagine that Anna would say that he's noticeably younger or might be missing... Like, you know, it'd be a fun detail if he was missing a scar or two, and Anna would comment on that, you know, give some sense of time being reversed. Like, he looks like the Ripley I know, but he's missing a few scars, and the crest hasn't healed properly. So, you know, something that really helps show that Anon is, like, out of his element and has to be careful, because he's like, oh no, I shouldn't tell him that I got his daughter killed and his son in the same day. Again, the grizzled pterodactyl looking to Doe and Warden. So, I hope... Of course he's not going to mix up Doe and Warden. That's the real awkward one to mix up. So then the two of you must be Doe and Warden, Ripley noted. No, it's Inko who notes. The human and the Allosaurus nodding respectively. Shouldn't they just be... Nodding respectfully makes more sense. I don't know if you mixed up respectfully. Because respectively is like in order of presentation, which isn't applicable in this context. As Nasa's dad looked to Olivia. By elimination, you must be Olivia. Why aren't you in a wheelchair? He takes out his gun. The baryonyx nodded as Samantha spoke up. Oh, Nasser told so much about you. The Tarot matriarch smiled. My little Nasser might have a crush on you. Oh man, she's got the old news. Oh no. Nasser never told them. Or maybe they never got the message. I feel like this should be written a bit better to imply that, like, Nasser never told them or they didn't catch on to it. Which is weird for someone's parents. Again, parents in this seem to have some lacking ability in reading their children. Although, again, I guess they just know Anon as a melancholic weirdo, so fair enough. Again, having a child that's actually an adult must be so strange. Regardless, Ripley and Samantha were completely in the dark as Nasser stuttered. Well, actually, Mom, Olivia hugged Nasser from behind. I'm sorry, I can't stop imagining her in a wheelchair. Every time I'm like, oh, she's in a wheelchair. She's like, no, she has legs, and they work. Olivia hugged Nasser from behind, snout resting on his shoulder before kissing him right on the cheek. Careful, Olivia, you might just fall over. The baryonyx then smiled up at Ripley and Samantha. I'm his girlfriend. There was a moment of silence between the two adults, and I blinked to something entirely new, perhaps slightly cursed happened. I'm gonna give you... This is a Saffy Crook, coming right at you, opinion. I feel that ellipses do not belong before severity indicators. They don't... They can work in some context, but the severity of this isn't the thing. The ellipses should be perhaps slightly cursed. You know, the lingering moment in this conversation is the nature of the adjective, not the severity of the adjective. Actually, is that an adjective? I don't know. The descriptor. The descriptor itself, the nature of it, is what matters, not the quality of it. So the slightly isn't what Anna would linger on, but it would be slightly cursed, not perhaps slightly cursed. I mean, it could say it like that. But again, you can make it a writing. You can make it a character quirk. You could totally have that be the thing. Like Anon pauses before. Man, okay, listen, please. I pray to the writing gods. I too had a period where I just loved using ellipses. Right now, I'm in my semicolon phase. I am just using that semicolon. At least once a chapter. Cannot resist. I'm just imagine me in the supply closet, just making out with that. Oh, it's a cat. What the fuck is going on with this cat? What the hell's going on with this cat? I shouldn't get this distracted. Samantha's eyes had opened. I feel like Samantha's eyes had opened is a bit better. You glutton. I am a glutton. I'm a glutton for semicolons. They're so tasty. Fuck you. I like these weirdos. Sure, why not? It was like I was looking at entirely different dinosaurs. Her eyes was gold, just like Nasser as her snout dropped up. So, at this point, it's just getting weird how many people have amber irises. Like, Samantha is not part of the same family, right? Actually, what are everyone's iris colors in this series? I don't even know. Maybe it is like a more common one for dinosauruses. My baby, it was too much for the petite pterodactyl. Again, that's not an alliteration. I know in writing it looks like one, but those gold eyes rolling shut. Oh shit, she's fainting. As she swooned back, Ripley catching her mid-fall as he shook her. He just immediately goes to shaking her. Samantha! Samantha! Ripley tried to resuscitate as she murmured incoherently. Something along the lines of how NASA would now be moving away with their marriage. He's like 12 to 14. Rap to Jesus. Nasser had now joined his father in trying to revive his mom, Olivia staring at the scene she had inevitably caused. A smile now twitching with absolute regret. All the while, Dole, Warden, and I looked at each other. Snouts and face turned downward as we suddenly found the grass beneath us of incredible interest. Would you look at that? It's a sentence that actually works.